Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. If you're new here, my name is Elena. I'm the homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos, and here on the channel we talk about everything from homeschooling, homemaking, all the things in between. Today I'm going to try to as quickly as I can, wrap up the books that I read for April. For the month of April, I read 10 books, and I will share with you what I read from the library. Okay, I just thought I was so smart. I was gonna wait and fill you in here in the parking lot at the library, but it's busy. It's a lovely day out here and this parking lot is busy. So I'm sure I look a little cray talking to myself, but that's okay. Let me tell you what I finished reading. So I read Cake Eater, Don't Lose Your Head. This is by Allyson, Dahlin, I believe. This book, I was just so intrigued because it's kind of a play on Marie Antoinette. I think they do it brilliantly. I was surprised at the little twist. So I thought this was a good book. It says that it is viciously sharp. Cake Eater is part mystery, part thriller, and part rom-com. And I needed to know how it could be all those things, and it really is. So I really liked this book. Like I said, it's kind of a play on Marie Antoinette, so I don't want to give you too much more information than that. It is set in the future though, so like a dystopian future. This is set in the, does it say? It's like really bright and bold up here and I'm looking for it. It is the year 3070, so kind of dystopian future. Like I said, play on Marie Antoinette, really good. I also read Wonder Woman Warbringer. I had wanted to, this was on my to be read list for quite some time. This is part of the DC, I don't know if they're considered retellings or I think it's just called DC Icons. So they have Wonder Woman, Batman, Catwoman, and Superman. I think the only other one that I've read is Catwoman. This one is by Leigh Bardugo. Catwoman is by Sarah J. Maas. Authors that we know and love. Follows Diana. The book begins with her as a young child on the island with the Amazonians, and she sees a shipwreck and they are not supposed to interfere, but she does. She rescues somebody that is drowning, and the tale kind of ensues from there. Because she rescued this young girl from drowning, things start to happen on the island. She needs to get this young girl off the island, and then she is thrust into New York City, and she's never been and she doesn't understand. And so it's part mystery because there are twists and turns that happen in there, but also another good book. I really liked it. I will say though that I am a fan of Wonder Woman, so that story, if you're not a fan of Wonder Woman, you may not like it, but I don't know why you'd pick it up then. And then the other one that I have to return that I finished reading was A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen. So this book is a romance, definitely, but it says, to her friends, high school senior Liza Yang is nearly perfect, smart, kind, and pretty. She dreams big and never shies away from a challenge. So her parents own a bakery, and she would like to be part of this annual bakery contest that they hold. But her parents, her mom in particular, will not allow this, but she does agree to let her help out. Liza realizes though that there's a catch to her being able to help out. Her mom really wants her to date a Asian American, and she's constantly setting her up on blind dates, and the contestants are all young Asian American men that are available, or so the mom thinks. So it's kind of this, it says bachelorette situation Liza finds herself in, and there is a couple of twists and turns also in this book that mysteries that unravel. I kept thinking, oh, this person is going to be this person, but no, it wasn't. So another great read. These were just books that I picked up on random from the library, and ended up reading. I also picked up Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I didn't end up reading it. So if you feel like I should recheck this out, let me know in the comments down below, but I didn't end up doing that. So that is partially what I read for the month of April. And then here are some digital reads that I finished up for April. I read Hopefully Ever After. This is the third in the Amish Bookstore trilogy. Actually, I don't know if it's a trilogy. Maybe it's a whole series. Nope, it's a trilogy. There's 3 of them. I didn't realize when I picked this one up that it was a trilogy. This is by Beth Wiseman. And I have really been loving Amish romance books. They're nice, clean books, and I don't know, they've been hitting a really sweet spot for me. So I've been reading quite a bit of them. In this one, we follow 16-year-old Eden Hale, and she kind of has a troubled past. Her mom is a drug addict, and so her youth and formative years, I mean, she's only 16, so she still has a lot more years, have been deeply troubled, and she has gone through quite a bit. So when we meet up with Eden, she is going to stay with her cousin Yvonne for a month because her older cousin, who now has custody of her, is going away overseas for a month, and Eden needs a place to stay. And so she goes and stays with her older cousin Yvonne, who has recently converted to the Amish way of life. And so Eden is very excited to go and kind of get away from where people know her and kind of put prejudgment on her because of her past, because of her mom. And she's excited to go stay with Yvonne and kind of have a slower pace life. Eden, we find out, has her own spiritual journey that she's on, and maybe we don't expect to see from someone who's in her situation. Eden meets a young man, Samuel Byler, and Samuel comes from the Amish. He lives in that community, and his parents are very strict Amish. So they are not very trustworthy of Englishers, and they're not very happy that Eden starts to hang out with Samuel. Samuel, on the other hand, is also 16 and should be starting his, what they call their Rumspring. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but their portion in life where they kind of let their kids venture out and do things that maybe normally is frowned upon in the Amish lifestyle, so that they can get a taste of the world and see a little bit of what that may be like before they make the final commitment to be baptized into the Amish faith. Because Samuel's parents are so strict, they're not really giving Samuel that time, and Samuel is kind of rebelling and trying to figure out if baptism into the Amish faith is something he really wants to do. And so we follow Eden and Samuel along this journey, and it is just a sweet, endearing story, everything that I would expect from an Amish romance read. I did really like seeing Eden coming from a non-Amish world, so the Englishers world, and watching her faith journey and how her and Samuel, things that they could connect on and things that they didn't connect on. So all in all, I think I gave this book a 4-star. I gave it 4.25 stars. So I really enjoyed this book. And like I said, you could just pick it up and read it, because I had some hints towards the end when they were hinting about Yvonne and her now Amish husband that made me wonder if there were other books, but I didn't realize until I recorded it in Storygraph that it is part of a trilogy. The other book that I finished was Pudge and Prejudice. This is by A.K. Pittman. This is a play on Pride and Prejudice, and it's set in the 80s, and it is high school children. And so this is a fun read. I think I just picked this up digitally to have something to read in the evenings or have available to me when I didn't want to carry a book around with me, and I just had my phone nearby. It takes place in Northfield, Texas High School in the year 1984. So it was really fun to kind of see it placed in that time. I thought that the author did a great job kind of reminiscing of that era. And then also the scandal that we have in Pride and Prejudice is lessened a little because these are high school kids, and I think that was brilliantly done too. So I really enjoyed this retelling. I give it 4.5 stars. I also I continued on with the Amish Cookie Club series. This is by Sarah Price, and the book that I read was An Amish Cookie Club Christmas. So in the other book that I read, I think I wrapped that up in my April? No, I'm wrapping up April now. March. In my March reads, I will list that for you in case you didn't see that and you want to see what I'm talking about. But the original book on it, there is a group of Amish women who get together and they bake cookies for the fellowship hour. That's not what they call it, I don't think, but their fellowship at church. And so they get together and bake cookies for their districts. The first book follows one of their daughters' story, and this one kind of follows along in the same step, except we see the daughter and one of the sons. One of the daughters, Bethany, is painfully shy. She doesn't really like to even leave her home. She kind of closes up when anybody even talks to her, and she has a hard time coming out of her shell. And so her parents worry that she's never going to meet a man and settle down and get married and have a family of her own. And they're just kind of at a wit's end on how to bring her out of her shell. And so because of things that happen, some of the things that happen in the story, Bethany ends up having to go work with one of the other Cookie Club members at her home. That member makes lunch for the Englishers who want to come and have an authentic Amish lunch. And so she bakes lunch for them, and it's becoming a very lucrative business. It's becoming very busy, and she needs extra help. Originally, Bethany's mom volunteers to help but gets hurt, and so Bethany has to step in. When Bethany steps in, she is very apprehensive to do so and very nervous, and they just wonder if it's going to work. And so we kind of see Bethany come a little bit out of her shell. It's told from multiple points of view, so we get to hear Bethany's viewpoint and things that she's feeling, and why it's so difficult a little bit for her to speak to outsiders. She does meet one of the sons, and then we see where that concludes. So this was another fun read. I enjoyed going back into the Amish Cookie Club world and reading this book. My battery's gonna die. Let me see if I can wrap this up. I also read Indoor Kitchen Gardening, Turn Your Home into a Year-Round Vegetable Garden, Microgreens, Sprouts, Herbs, Mushrooms, Tomatoes, Peppers, and More. This was by Elizabeth Millard. I just kind of thumbed through this book. This wasn't a really like storytelling book, just more of informational. I thought it was good. There was some information in there. This probably would have been better if you had it in person, had it in your collection as kind of a reference book to look back on, but there was a lot of good information in there. And then the last, is it the last one? Nope. I also finished Sunny Song Will Never Be Famous by Suzanne Park. This one was a social media influencer is shipped off to a digital detox summer camp in the funny coming of age story, perfect for fans of Jenny Han's The Summer I Turned Pretty. Oh, so this one, sorry, I'm trying to jog my memory. This one I read at the beginning of the month. This is a really cute story. So we have Sunny Song, who is a media influencer, and she gets in trouble with her parents because something goes awry on one of her live Instagram feeds, and it looks wrong. It looks different than what it was intended to be. And so her parents get wind of it, the school gets wind of it, and her parents ship her off to this detox camp. And so Sunny is trying to survive without her phone, along with many other social media influencers, some who are nice, some who are not, and some who are following the rules, and then those that are not. And Sunny is one of those that seems to not be following the rules. There is this huge social media contest that Sunny enters right before she gets sent off to camp, and so she's desperate to win and is bending rules trying to win it. But of course, in a twist of events, we find out if Sunny sticks to the commitment of not using her phone, not being on social media, and what she does with that. And of course, there is a kind of background romance that happens at the same time. I also read Meet the Frugalwoods, Achieving Financial Independence Through Simple Living. This is by Elizabeth Willard Thames, or Thames. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. This has been on my to be read for quite some time, and I honestly kind of forgot about it. When we first went on our debt-free journey a couple of years ago, this book had come up, and it was really interesting. This was pre-2020, so a lot of the things were... This was, I guess, first published in 2018. So there are some things that may be a little bit more difficult now than at the time that she was writing this book, but I still think it was relevant. I thought it was inspiring. There were parts of it where she does fully acknowledge that she had privileges that other people did not. Both her and her spouse were able to go to college, and their parents paid for it. And so I believe they didn't go into debt with that because their parents helped them pay for college, and then the Elizabeth at least, worked to stay very hard within her budget that she had and not go further into debt while in college. And so I just thought it was a good, inspiring story. Take from it what you will, but there are points that you may kind of feel slightly cringe because it's not all perfectly relatable, but we're not going to find a book that's perfectly relatable to each one of our stories, right? So take what you will from it. I still thought it was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars. I didn't think it was bad. 3, if you know me, is a decent book. It's good. And then finally, I read Beyond the Wand, Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. I wanted to hear this book on audio version, but the wait at my library for the audio was a really long time, and I don't have a subscription to audiobooks. So I actually found this book at the library, but returned it before I filmed my returning books to the library. So I wanted to listen to it on audio because I think he is the one that narrates it, and I just wanted to hear it in his accent. I thought it would be so much better. So I read the book itself. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll probably like this book because he does dive a little bit into the background scenes of that. The first part of the book is him growing up and a little bit of what that life was like, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mostly picked it up because I am a Harry Potter fan though, so the second half of the book where he's talking more about the background scenes and what being growing up on set was like was of course a little bit more interesting to me. Not to say the first half was boring, but because I am a Harry Potter fan and that's why I picked up the book. The second half was a little bit more interesting. All in all, I think he did a great job. When you pick up the actual book, there are pictures in it, so you get to see a couple of pictures of young Tom and his brothers, and just hearing a little bit of their stories. And it was a good biography. It was neat to see a little bit more into his life. I think that's it. I don't think I missed any books for April. Diving into May, I don't have like a set to be read list, but we'll get into that. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and listening to what I read. Let me know in the comments down below what you read this month, if you finished any books up, if you have any to recommend. I'd love to add them to my to-be read list. And as always, if you don't know or you just need a reminder, may be the one to tell you you are deeply and truly loved and so, so appreciated. I deeply appreciate you taking your time out and spending it here with me. Thanks so much for watching.